So apparently vaping causes lung cancer, heart disease, and all sorts of other shit. Are we really going to die from it all?
You'll have to forgive me for all the noise, I'm making a cup of tea. Well, mint tea.
But yeah, so obviously I'm a little bit, well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit pissed off by this current study that everyone's been talking about. I've only just caught up with it, and obviously the title of it, from the ITV report, e-cigarette smoke may cause DNA damage and cancer, scientists warn. So I just want to have a look at the key facts that they've put in here. So, smoke from e-cigarettes damage DNA and can increase the risk of cancer and heart disease, scientists have warned. Right, okay, so before I go any further, apparently it's caused all of this, or it's a possible chance that it can cause all of this. Now, funnily enough, the only form of accident or any form of illness or anything I've heard about vaping, which I'm sure we'll all remember, is a certain bellend called Andy who blew his face off because he was stupid. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't remember him going and getting an e-cigarette and then suddenly a couple of months down the line he's accidentally ended up with cancer or some form of heart disease or lung disease or popcorn lung, you name it, all the bullshit the media pops out. Now, reading further into it, to be honest, there's a lot more stupid stuff like this paragraph underneath. The battery-driven devices which deliver an instant nicotine hit. Right, so already at the start of this paragraph, the battery-driven devices, now they're talking about the battery, these battery-driven devices which deliver an instant nicotine hit. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think with all of a mod, that doesn't require us to buy juice, because apparently it's got juice in it that produces the nicotine, and it instantly delivers a nicotine hit.
Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Right, and apparently it just gets better. It gives an instant nicotine hit without burning tobacco. Even though it has, apparently this device has juice. Right, okay, so they're saying that these battery devices give an instant nicotine hit. Whether they're speaking metaphorically to say it's with a tank or without a tank, they should have specified that, but they haven't say it's a scientific study. I don't even know if that's a word, scientific, but you know what, I've heard it. Right, let's see. But findings from a new study suggest that they are far from harmless and could pose a serious health risk. In laboratory tests, so they've done laboratory tests, mice exposed to e-cigarette smoke had higher levels of DNA damage in their heart. Damage in their heart, lungs and bladder. Right, no offence, but they're testing e-cigarettes out on mice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure e-cigarettes were designed for humans. Because I don't normally see a mice, or a mouse, or whatever fucking plural, or a rat, strolling up into one of our vape shops and going, I just want to get an e-cig because obviously I can't get off at 20 pack of fags. I'm a bit concerned. So why are they testing on mice if they wanted something a lot more, let's say logical and have some actual common sense? Run your test on a human that is currently vaping, as well as a person that's currently smoking and inhaling all of that dog shit in their lungs.
Yeah, well that's disgusting.
It's so simple. So, mice, let's continue, sorry, not to get me off sidetrack, obviously. So they've been testing it on mice, and apparently it's higher levels of DNA damage in the heart, lungs, bladder, than those breathing normal filtered air. So the mice that were normally filtered air were absolutely fine, but the ones that were vaping, apparently, because these mice were completely heavy smokers before, shit. Bullshit. DNA repair systems which protect against cancer were also impaired in the animal cells. Well, no shit. You're pumping a mouse, or mice, whatever you want to call them, with nicotine direct from vaping. It's pure nicotine. What do you expect? Okay, so apparently this entire study was done in the New York University School of Medicine by a US team led by a Dr. Moon Shong Tang.
Dude, what the fuck?
I don't know, it just, to me, the whole paragraph as well as the whole study that they're talking about here, which, don't get me wrong, this is from the ITV news screen that I'm reading from, so there's probably a lot more to the study from their actual papers, but it isn't exactly giving it a good reputation on what I'm seeing. Apparently they warn that vapors may be increasing the risk of life-threatening conditions. So they've been reporting their findings in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The researchers wrote, and I quote, "We propose that ECS, e-cigarette smoke, is how the hell do you pronounce that word?
I can't read.
Carcinogenic, and that e-smokers, by the way, if I've said that wrong, feel free to correct me, and that e-cig smokers have a higher risk than non-smokers to develop lung and bladder cancer and heart diseases. Similar results were seen when cultured human lung and bladder cells were exposed to nicotine and nicotine..." Right, hang on a minute. So, they've made a massive mistake here. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you that have been listening to me rant on about this will have clicked on straight away to something that I've only just clicked onto, but I just don't understand how ITV could have put it up, knowing full well there's holes in this theory. Now, just listen to this part again. Similar results were seen when cultured human lung and bladder cells were exposed to nicotine and nicotine derivatives. So what they're saying is there were no essential vaping like specifics, like did they use the flavouring? Did they use a certain milligram? Because as far as I'm aware, a 3 milligram is the lowest dosage, which for those that haven't worked in vaping, that have only just gone into vaping or generally enjoy it, a 3 milligram is essentially, it's nothing. It's like having the tiniest bit of a cigarette. Now, an 18 milligram, for example, it's quite strong. It's like smoking one cigarette, but in terms of vaping, because say for instance you made the transition between smoking cigarettes and vaping, you do find it quite normal. Now, for those that have just gone straight into nicotine, just for the sake of vaping, or prefer vaping over smoking, an 18 milligram will be like smoking a fuckload at once to you, per puff. Wow, I should really edit that out.
Don't do this.
So yeah, basically it's gonna sting a lot. But what they're saying is here that they've pretty much tested this on human lungs and bladders. Now, don't know about you, but has anybody else seen a bladder walking past with a TFV8 like baby making massive clouds? Because it's not quite common in Bradford. So, what my point is, how can they say it's causing all this damage when they've directly used nicotine for vaping? No flavourings have been talked about, no VG, vegetable glycerin, or propylene glycol has been exposed. Instead they talk about nicotine. So obviously nicotine's going to cause damage. That's what they're basically just saying. An e-cigarette is a cigarette. But they're just trying to make us all think that, oh, it's right bad for us, so we shouldn't probably use e-cigarettes. Maybe we should go back into smoking. If you've fallen for that, you've gone straight into their hands. You've gone from keeping yourself alive to, oh, I don't think that coffin's the right size. No offence to those that still smoke and vape, but it's a true, unfortunately, it's a horrible fact of life. Smoking, it will eventually do damage or worse. Hopefully that never happens, God forbid. So obviously I'm starting to continue reading through this. Now, this is the part where they're really, so they're sort of retracing the steps here, and they're trying to promote vaping at the same time as well as slagging it off. While tobacco smoke contains a host of potentially dangerous chemicals, e-cigarette vapor consists only of nicotine and some relatively harmless organic solvents. Recent studies have shown that e-cigarette smokers have 97% less of lung, here we go with that word again, carcinogen, or carcinogen, I'm going to say carcinogen, known as NNAL in their bodies than tobacco smokers do. That is similar to the levels seen in people on nicotine replacement therapy. However, NNAL levels are still significantly higher in e-cigarette smokers than non-smokers. Hang on. Recent studies show that e-cigarette smokers have 97% less of lung carcinogen known as NNL in their bodies than a smoker. Now moving further down to this next part. However, NNL levels are still significantly higher in e-cigarette smokers than non-smokers. Just said, they've gone, oh no, bollocks, I fucked that up, I'm going to try change that round and put it to, they have high, right. So they've just basically said that we're much healthier than smokers to, you're going to die. Right, I'm finally coming to the last part of this whole study. They have pointed out that e-cigarettes were rapidly gaining popularity, especially among young people who regarded them as harmless. Now, here's another quote. It is important to note that many of these e-cigarette smokers, in brackets, who, have taken up the e-cigarette smoker's habit and not necessarily doing it for the purpose of quitting tobacco. Rather, it is because they are assuming that e-cigarette smoke is safe, the scientists have written. And that was last updated on the 30th of January 2018. So essentially, what they started speaking about this whole study for, from what I'm now seeing, apart from trying to slag us off, because let's face it, this New York study that I have not tried to be funny, this is the first time I've heard anything of their studies before. It's on the national media, which we all know is pretty much ran by any major corporations out there, which funnily enough being tobacco. So of course I want you to feel that smoking's bad for you, especially if it's e-cigarette or vaping. However, they've now said at the bottom that it's targeting a younger audience. So what they've done is they've tried to throw in another point there, which, don't get me wrong, I don't think that's part of their study. I think that's ITV just going, oh yeah, so the younger generation are really suffering because they're We get the point. What it is, they're saying a bunch of kids have fucked off out of their local shop, and obviously dodgy Mick down the road has gone, oh yeah, I've got a couple of e-cigarettes, lads, here. They're about 10 quid each, don't worry, they're top notch. Obviously just make sure you put these two batteries completely separate from each other, the wrong way around, you'll be fine. See my point? It's absolutely stupid. So, what exactly have we learnt from this study? We've learnt that, let's see. I just come to think of it, I don't think I've learnt anything.